Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about how we afford to travel full-time, when to take the leap, and how the math works.
Yeah, this is one of the most interesting questions we get all the time is when to take the leap. How did you do it? So we're going to share our personal story today with you on how and why we took the leap when we did to do this, how that applies to you, and what you can do to do the same thing that we have done. And the first thing that we needed to do was get a number in our heads and in our minds that would determine how much money do we need to get per month. And that number that we came up with was $4,000 per month.
Yeah, and having kind of a launching point, a number, a budget number. We've always been kind of budget people, so that was something that was really important to us, and it actually ended up being a key component of us being able to do this at all.
Now I will say that $4,000 a month is the number that we have and that we still stick with, but realistically you could do this for $3,000. We say $4,000 though because you never know what's going to come up and you may want to splurge a little bit in some places, but for the most part $3,000 would work too if you had to do that. So in order to do this lifestyle, you do need to have that source of income of $3,000 to $4,000 per month, and it really comes from three different places. Either you have a pension that you're getting paid on every single month, or equity that you've gotten from a house sale or something like that, or income that you still have coming in, which is like residual income from something like a YouTube channel or many other things. We do have a video on the channel of 11 side hustles for retirement. You can check that out on ways to make money, but you have to have some type of income coming in that totals that, and that is basically how you do that. Now, not everybody's going to have that $1 million. Like you would need, in order to get $4,000 worth of dividends, you would need about $1 million in your stock account. We certainly didn't have that.
We did not.
So you might be wondering, how do you get there? And for a lot of people, it's kind of a conglomeration of all these things. We didn't have $1 million, but we had some. And we sold our house and we had some equity in that. And kind of the benefit for us that made us take the leap earlier than other people might is we already had a YouTube channel. It is still called NGM Modeling, and that's what we did in Atlanta. Is we had a modeling business. I was a photographer there, and we had started a YouTube channel. It did pretty well, and so we kind of knew that there was a lot of potential in that.
That's right. We were still making money, also had income from your photography work as well, selling your photographs, and that put together gave us something. So we already kind of knew that you could make money online, which was a good advantage for us, and we're sharing that advantage with you, that you can definitely make money online.
Yeah, so we did basically a pool of these things. We had sold our house, we took that money and put it in the stock market, and we already had a bunch of income that was already moved online from my photography, like she said, and that's just money that's residual. It's just going to come back because we don't even do anything. Agencies sell those pictures for me and they just give us the money every month, so that's a great thing. And we already had the YouTube, which was the same kind of deal. The videos are up there, they just pay you the money at the end of the month, and I think that that's the best thing for most people, is to have a mixture of these things. Unless you have the $1 million in the bank, then you already can just do that. But for us, since we knew that these things were going to work, we decided to kind of go all in on the YouTube. But we realized that no one would really want to see a YouTube channel about our life in Sugar Hill, Georgia. So it was kind of like, well, we can't make more money staying here, and we want to go, so I figure if we go, we'll be able to make this work eventually, and that's kind of what we did.
Yeah, so that's when we decided to take that leap. We kind of did the math, and as you said, we sold our home, all the belongings, our car, our cars, everything that we could possibly sell, and unloaded all of those things. That gave us that first initial chunk that helped us when we took that leap.
Yeah, and initially we had enough money that we just said, we're going to go do this for a year. We're going to travel the world for a year and just see what happens, and maybe we'll come up with some ideas. And we did travel the world. And in the very first year, we decided to start a YouTube channel. We hadn't started that initially, but we did decide in the very first year to start a YouTube channel because we started to think in that first few months, this is something we really like. We want to do this full time. And then we started to realize, okay, but we need to get to that number that we're not at yet. So how could we do that? And we kind of came up with the idea that if we basically self-loaned ourselves the money, we could continue traveling for the next 2 years. And during that time, we could get a YouTube channel going. And that definitely did work.
Yeah, not only did we do that, but then started more YouTube channels after that, after having so much success with our second YouTube channel and growing from there. And we've even gone so far as to put a course together. We have a link in the description for that, on how to be successful on YouTube. And it just has made a huge difference for us, kind of been a real game changer, honestly.
Yeah, so we did kind of pick a terrible time to do this though, because it was like a worst case scenario, because we started doing this basically at the end of 2019, and everybody knows what happened in 2020, and we were doing a travel channel and a cruise channel, and it was like, well, this could not have been worse timing. You probably won't have to fall into that. So we did actually have a fallback plan when we started deciding that we were going to go try to make this $4,000 worth of money. And the fallback plan was basically, we'd heard you could teach English, teach at a prep school, and we'd actually looked into what it would take to teach English or just be a teacher, not really teach English, be a teacher at one of these international prep schools. And Allie has a teaching degree, so she thought, well, I could do that if it ever came to it. And it hasn't ever even come close to coming to that. So
No.
We've kind of shelved that, and it's really pretty far in the back of our minds. But we did have some contingency plans, because that first year we were spending a little bit more than we had originally thought. And we thought, well, if we don't get anything else going, we're going to need to do something. And that was our thought.
Yeah, and I think that is important always, to kind of have a little something. What will you do if, the worst happens? And just kind of have that in the back of your mind, or in your back pocket, so that, it does give you a little bit of comfort. Even if it's not something you ever end up using, it does give you a little bit of something where you're not like so fearful, I think, all the time. I think it's extremely helpful knowing, oh yeah, that's something. I looked into it, looked at the requirements, so I had all of the information, knowing I was fully qualified for what they were looking for and what the process was gonna be. And a ton of the schools, I was looking at some of the international schools here in Bangkok, and pretty much all of the schools, all the international schools that I had looked at, I fit the requirement for almost all of them, and all of them were looking for teachers, and I think they still are. They're almost always looking for teachers, especially English speaking teachers, because they have so many international students. They mostly run their schools in English, so that would be extremely helpful. And it was good, to really comforting feeling knowing that, okay, I know I can qualify, I'm qualified to do this. So it wasn't just like I'll see if I can do this. No, I went so far as to actually look at all the information, and then it really was a comfort knowing, okay, I fit the bill for what they're looking for. I can do it. I have the qualifications. I have, the experience, and I can do this. And it never came to it, but it was great knowing that it was something that we could do if we had to.
Yeah, we were excited to have that kind of in the back pocket. And it really comes down to, for most people, if you already have a pension or a pretty big investment retirement income where you can just draw on that money, you're good to go. You're just ready to go. But for the people that don't have that, which is what the situation we were in. We realized if we try to live in the United States for the next 10 years, where we're spending $6,000 to $7,000 to $8,000 a month, we're never going to get that extra money on top of what we need to put that away. So part of the strategy was, if you go to places that are cheaper and you're making money, you can actually be saving money and building your income instead of just using everything that you're getting in, which is what we were doing in the U.S. We were just basically breaking even. You're making $6,000, you're spending $6,000. That's not a good way to build up your income. And so what we found is that by taking a leap and doing it quicker and doing it before we were even ready, but with some fallback plans, we were able to dramatically increase the time that decrease the time that it took to become financially independent, and just basically now to the point where we don't really need to work anymore. We work because we want to. We really enjoy doing this YouTube, and that's why we do it. But just in that few short years, it dramatically turned the tables of our life.
Yeah, definitely. That was something that made a huge difference. It is really nice, like you said, to be able to choose when we want to work. I mean, we just came off of, we took 3 weeks off at the end of December to just kind of, enjoy our visit with our daughter and just enjoy our birthdays and the holidays. And it was just really nice, not stressed at all. No one was looking for deadlines or stuff, emails, nothing. We were fully in control of that. And I think that that's the huge difference of having that income that's still coming in, that residual income that you don't really have to tend to on a regular basis.
Yeah, and doing it the way we did it then, for the first little bit, we were borrowing from our equity that was in the stock market to get us through a couple months, but that was because we were doing some pretty big things like going to Iceland and Norway, and that was, a lot more expensive than this is. So.
And Dubai. I think we put together, I think, a list of like a bucket list that we were doing for like a 6-month period, and so we did eat into quite a chunk. It's kind of like a 6 months of do whatever you want kind of thing. It's like, giving a toddler $20 and letting them loose in the candy store. They're going to use it all. And that's basically what we were doing in that 6-month time period. Is we were doing all of those, just checking off a lot of things off of, wish lists that we've had for years. And so that actually was really good, and it was really actually a good use of that money. It wasn't wasted because it was things that we really wanted to do and had been on our list for a long time.
Yeah, so as far as when to take the leap, I think you should take the leap as soon as possible, because once you take that leap, it really has just revitalized our finances. Because I know that in the US we were, oh man, it was like every month we're like, oh, we got HOA, we have, property taxes are due again, come on. And it's like, oh, the air conditioner just went out, and oh, we need a new roof, thank you, that's great. So all that stuff just seemingly always piled up, and you just had this feeling, oh, we're not making it here. Whereas now, basically every month we come out way ahead. So I think there's something to be said for going a little bit early and doing it in a responsible way, where you're going to places that are very economical and very budget friendly, and right up front that you're going to be bringing in more than you're putting out. And it's just a good way to start building up your nest egg by traveling.
Exactly. It's really crazy to think, like, it feels counterintuitive, but it's really not, because if you've seen any of the other videos here on the channel, not only do we share videos on budget-friendly places to go, but we also share our experiences in those places, doing individual videos there as well, kind of showing you, the foods you can get and where you can stay and what you can do and all those types of things. But I think, it's amazing that the quality of the life too is, very good, equivalent, if not better, than what we were doing in the US. So it's not like, yeah, they're budget friendly, but that doesn't mean that we are not, you know, having a good experience or an experience that we would have had in the US. I mean, you know, like I said, we're in Bangkok, Thailand right now, getting massages and facials and getting nails done and all that kind of stuff on a very regular basis, you know, 2-3 massages a week. You would never do that at home, yet we're doing it here because it's, you know, so cost effective to do that.
Yeah, so I would say that as soon as you have a plan to get to that 3,000, preferably 4, but you could do it at $3,000 a month. As soon as you have a plan to make that work, you can go do this, because things are going to come up along the way that are going to be more beneficial to you, and it's going to be hard to make a lot of progress just sitting at your place in the United States if you're kind of just straddling that line every month. Now, if you're at home in the US and you're bringing in $10,000 a month and you're only spending $5,000 a month, sure, just stay there until you get the number you need, because that's going to be the easiest way for you. But if you're struggling to build your nest egg, maybe it's not so much that you need to make more money, it's that you need to spend less money, and there's other places in the world where you could accomplish that very easily.
Absolutely. Guys, we hope that this is helpful to you. If you have questions, please leave those down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys next time.